welcome back to the stream. Shout out to Viper J1 for getting me to repost an update here. I've been meaning to, but I have been, I moved, I got a full-time job. A lot has been going on, so I'm settled in my new place, so I'm gonna be streaming regularly again. And I'm almost done with Joust. So the thing is, here's where we left off. It looks like we just did the collapsing burnable platform on wave 3, right? So what I'm gonna do is not that. I'm gonna pull our changes so I can show you what. There we go. Look at those changes. So I have not been doing nothing. Geez, 1,400 changes in the play state, 150 in the ostrich class, 74 in the notes. So we've been doing stuff. So let's take a look at what it looks like now. And actually, before I do that, I'm actually gonna go into our play state and I'm gonna put it on wave 3, so it's just like what we just saw, so we can kind of compare. Okay. So it looks like, what line does this crash? Dependencies. High score not found. Huh. So that'll give you a little clue as what I've been working on, but I gotta see. Oh, you know what? It's because Linux saves stuff differently. I've been programming on my Mac, and I'm on Linux now. So the place I've been saving the high scores is probably different. Source high scores right there, but source. Oh, high scores, lowercase h. Is that right? Where was it? In dependencies? There's a okay, so it's not high scores with a capital H here. It's actually a lowercase. That's not what I wanted. It should be that. Let's see if that works. Nice. Okay, well, it's a little off. I know what we do to fix that, and it's just we need to turn off our full screen in our push library, so we need to go to, where is it? Main, and set full screen to false. That should be it. Cool. So this is where we're at now. Since July, we've got 2-player mode thanks to Ready Player One, because I read that book and the copper key was hidden behind beating Anorak in a case of Joust. So I thought it'd be appropriate to add 2 players. This is what that's looking like. So now we have 2 players. Wow, okay, the spawn point looks like it's a little messed up. And I'm noticing another thing on this machine is that the sound is a little pitched differently, because I think it's running off frame rate or something. So I don't know what to do about that, but 2-player mode exists. We still have the perpetual game over, but I want to show you guys another feature I added, which is now this. So the ground retracts like we used to, but now you hover here, there is the lava troll that grabs you. So if you flap, oh gosh, I think you have to flap like 12 or 15 times to escape him. I made it. We can take a look at this code just to kind of catch you up. But actually, this is not really working on this machine. So the thing is, this is a 14-year-old computer, dual core, so it's like, it's really slow. So I've been noticing not very good performance out of this thing. And I think that this is a product of that. Because it just hiccups on the frame. I wonder if we put, I know we have a frame rate, no? It's called FPS, display FPS right here. So what we can do is just display FPS. Can we do it right here? If we display FPS, we can see what we're running at. So 60, and then so like my computer, like it's a dual core computer, but I'm also running a game I wrote, and then running some audio in the background, and then also recording the screen with OBS. So the CPU is on overload for being a dual core. So it says 60 FPS, but for some reason the tapping to escape out of here is not working properly. So I think what I'm going to have to do, and I've been planning on doing this, which is one reason I've been so late programming, is I want to, that was weird. Reset. Okay, reset. I think I'm going to program on my real computer instead of this 14-year-old thing. I had it set up so that this is a dedicated programming computer, so that it's always on programming, so it'd be easy to come in and stream and program. But I'm running into performance issues because it's a 14-year-old computer. So I'm going to be getting Linux set up on my other machine, my Pro machine. And so you should have a bit better webcam for that machine than this one. And then hopefully we won't have those performance problems. And then we can always keep this as a backup programming computer in case my other computer's exporting videos or something. I can come over here and do this anyway. It's all set up. So let's take a look at some of the things we've done. So if we go into play state, see this, we've got this left troll collide function that's new. That's just triggering the animation for the troll hand to come up. So if the left hand, I didn't do it like the original game. The original game, the hand kind of follows you wherever you are down there. I have it where if you're in the flame hitbox, that will trigger the troll hand to grow. So that's how I did it. I didn't do it perfect because I wasn't planning on doing it, and then I was just like, I'll just do a little version of it so it's in there. So I didn't spend too much time on that. One thing we also added is that there is now 25 waves. So there's 25 waves of enemies, and I went through the original game and kind of snagged all the same spawns, and like you can see here, you know, there's 7 vulture spawns because there's 7 enemy objects, and the last 4 are tier 2, so those are the hunters, bounders, hunters. Yeah, hunters are white, so those are the medium tier ones. And then the Shadow Lords are still there. See, look, we get a Shadow Lord here on the 7th vulture on wave 21. So right now I have it. The other thing I did was I'll just show you. Actually, I'm gonna fix something about it real quick that I just realized. So we're gonna go, where is it? We fuzzy finder over to our high scores. Not that, but this. So we've got a high score state now. Now I'm actually going to do this. J, D, H, oops. So this is for James Donovan Halliday from Ready Player One. As a sort of Ready Player One Easter egg. There's got to be a better way to do this. So this is going to be the score, the high scores. So if you're playing this game on your own machine, there is a default set of high scores that are in here for you to kind of beat and then reach the high score. And I haven't gotten the right scores yet. I just finished this like yesterday in terms of creating a text file that the game writes to and reads from so that it remembers the high score. So if we run this now, and actually I'm gonna go to our play state. I hate that it does that. I've got to figure out how to turn that off. ZR. If we go to, what is it? Wave 25. Right here, I think in wave 25 we have a, right here, if egg wave transition timer greater than 4, we're going to change to the high score state. So if we go to our wave initialization here and put us on wave 25, we'll be able to see the high score without having to die or whatever. So we give it a couple seconds and it'll kick us into the high score state. We didn't get a score, so we don't belong on the leaderboard, but if you take a look at the 5th and 6th place here, there's a slot for 250 missing, so I'll show you what happens if we get a high score of 250. So we're going over here, we got 250. Now we should be on the high score table, and it, oh, well, that's a mistake, but I gotta wait for the thanks for playing, but we can do, we can put in our initials. So let's just say we're ZA. Now you can see ZA is at the 250 spot. It inserted it into the correct spot. It shifted all the other scores down. And the coolest thing is you're done with that, but you come back a week later to play the game and you die and you don't get a high score. Well, the game loads and it still says ZA. So it loads into memory the high score table. I'm reading from that file. So we have a sort of perpetual memory, persistent memory to hold the high scores here now. So if you guys want to take a look at that, which I was super stoked to do, that was one of the, I think that was the biggest thing I was worried about finishing on this project, was that persistent memory. So now that I've done it, it opens up the door to do real video game type stuff, like saving your progress and loading different levels and remembering high scores and all that good stuff. I'm gonna just clear a couple things out of my harpoon here so that I can, actually I should have kept constants, but if we want to put our high score state in here. So high score state and high scores.lua. This is not, we need to delete this high scores.lua. No, we don't. No, we don't. That's our class. We need that. So like high scores.lua is the class of high score objects. So when you get a high score, you have three things. You have what place you are in the high score leaderboard. you have your name, which is a set of initials, and then you have your score. So we need that. And I'm going to be putting, instead of just, getting one egg puts you at leader 6, I'm going to have it so that, like, Anorak himself is number 1. And Anorak scored a perfect score out of 25 waves, which is, well, not a perfect score, an average score. Like he didn't let any eggs hatch and upgrade, therefore getting him the extra bonus. So he just gets all the eggs from all the spawns up to wave 25. That's player, place 1. And then maybe 2 is like that same idea to level 20. 3 is that same idea to level 15, and then 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. So if someone gets like to wave 6 or wave 4, maybe even wave 3. Wave 3 will be you get on the leaderboard, and that'll be like the 10th place or whatever. And then we have to actually add this 11th place because of the function I wrote to shift the trailing scores here. So like, in order to insert the high score object into the leaderboard table at the right location, without overriding any of the other scores, I have to what's called shift trailing scores, which is 7th goes to 8th, 8th goes to 9th, 9th goes to 10th, and then also 10th goes to 11th, because of the way I had to do it, because we have to be able to shift 10th down in case we get 10th place. We need to shift 10th down. So I needed 11th index to shift 10 down so that my shift trailing scores function didn't get all nasty. But so that's why there's 11 things. And then I'm using this library called Serialize. I think it's called that. Let me add this to Harpoon, so now we've got it there. I want a fuzzy finder into whatever our Serialize is. Maybe it's not here. Maybe it's... What's it under? Dependencies? Serialize. No, it's not there. Where is it? Because we're doing this serialize function for our save data. Not remembering where this is. Oh, it was called SER, is what it was called for serialize. There it is. So someone wrote this library, which is a bit above my pay grade. But what it allows me to do is, I want to see where I actually use this. No? Play state? No? Okay, so look, I import it here, which I probably shouldn't do here in the play state, but where do we use this serialize? We don't use it here. We use it in our high score state. So what I'm going to do is take this serialize and I'm going to place it in our dependencies, which we took out of Harpoon. So we can add it back to Harpoon, so it's there now. And I'm going to add serialize here to our kind of library class. I believe this should be global. Since we don't define it as local. So let's see if it runs still when it's out of that class. It looks like it. ZA is still there. So we also need to implement restarting the game with enter if you're at the end of the high score state reveal, so that you can go and play again. And then we need to, once it's game over, right now it's just perpetual game over and you can still play. And I also added another thing, which was help. So actually, before we switch to that, before we fix our things for playing, we're going to go to our wave initialization, and we're just going to give us wave 3. So I can show you the other thing I added, which was controls. So a lot of my games I have it so pressing H will toggle a little help menu. So this is kind of weird because it's like player 1 is IOP for controlling, which seems a little weird, and 2 is ZXC, which seems a little weird, but I did that because twofold. One is this keyboard I'm working on doesn't have arrow keys. So it's one of those really small keyboards, so the buttons I have function as an arrow key press, but not as holding directions, which is really important in a game like this. So I can use an arrow key on this keyboard, but I can't really hold the arrow key function. So I moved it to these buttons so I can play it on my development computer here. But the second reason is, if player 1 remained arrow keys for moving and spacebar for jump, then that means if there's a 2-player, player 1's already taking up most of that space. Like the second player's hands on the keyboard would kind of overlap that person's hand on the spacebar. So what I'm kind of doing is, like, player 1 is on the right side with IOP, and then player 2's on the left side with ZXC, so they can kind of play in their own little compartment on opposite sides of the keyboard, so they don't kind of hit each other. So that's the reasoning behind that. So here's that game over, where we have -1 lives, which is fun for development, but before we go live with it, we need to go, make sure lives can't be negative, and then make sure we don't spawn the ostrich once we have no lives. So we'll do that, and then have some sort of game over timer for a couple seconds, and then shift us to the high score state so you can look at the leaderboard, and then hit enter to play again. And then what I did last night was actually on 2-player mode. If both, actually, since we can't get any eggs in the, here, we've got to go to wave 25 again. So that's not what I wanted. So if we both get a score, actually player 1 didn't get a score but had 500. Well, that's not what I wanted. Okay, 2 players. Okay, player 2 got no score, player 1 got 1 egg. So if there's 2 players playing, there's no inserting the scores, just because I didn't want to deal with figuring out the placement and the shift in trailing scores for 2 different players. So if it's 2 players, you just get to compare yourself to the leaderboard here. Because I want to move on. I've been making this game for a year and a half now, or more. I think I started in 2021 making this game. Yeah, I really did start in 2021, so I really got to move on. Speaking of moving on, actually, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a commit here and fix our bug that we just found, which is on the high score leaderboard input phase, it's blinking that thanks for playing, which is not what we want. So let's just go fix that, make a commit, then I'll show you what I've got next. So we're gonna go to our high score state, and we're gonna find where this is happening, and it's happening right here because we're just printing it. Now, there's 2 mistakes. It's flashing because we don't set the color here. So love.graphics.setColor, and we're gonna set it to just white. So we're gonna say 255, and I think this needs no apostrophe. So RGB, all 255, and then our transparency 255. So we're gonna go. Now it should not be flashing, which is at least an upgrade. We can keep it like that, but I think we want to have it say like input initials or something instead of high scores, and then once we input it, our high scores will say high scores here, but I think it'll say input initials on that other page. So I also added it so like you see that we had the same score as Za, but we're on top, and that's just for a recency thing. So it's like if you beat it, you earn that spot, like you get it. So if the other person wants to do it, who wants to be number one again, they got to get that score again. So it's just kind of how I decided to do it. But the way I did this was a graphics, player's initial locked. Yeah, so once you input all the initials, you get a player initial locked, I believe. Where is that? Player initial locked. So, if we're player initials locked, that's when we want to say, go ahead and print that thanks for playing. So we can say if player initials locked, then go ahead and that's not what I wanted. Go ahead and okay. Okay. There we go. So now, thanks for playing doesn't show up. Oh, we need to get a point. Okay. Cool. Thanks for playing doesn't show up until we've locked in our score there. So that's working. But we still want that to say enter initials instead of high scores. So let's go see where we're printing the high scores. High scores. Really? Here. Okay. So similarly, we want to say if player's initials locked, then go ahead and actually we can combine these two. So we're going to say if player's initial locked, we're going to go ahead and print that high scores, and I actually want to also get what we just did and put that in there. So I'm going to take this all and put it here with it. Okay, and we can set the color here. Set font, set color, then do those things. So now, let's get us a point, and then it shouldn't say high scores or thanks for playing. And then it'll say both of those things once we submit. Cool. So now let's have it say enter initials. If it's not that, so oops. We want to take this as a template, and we can say else here, which means if our player initials aren't locked, we want to print up a instruction that says enter initials. And this is a formatted string in Love, or in Love 2D, enter initials, which takes in a string in X, a Y, a limit to wrap your text, and then an alignment style. So that's how we're centering it. So now, if you get a high score, it should say enter initials. No flashing, thanks for playing. Okay. And then I don't know if I should put instructions that up and down is change letters. Right now I have it that right also locks in the numbers or the letters that you select, which I don't think I like. Kind of want enter. Well, I don't know. I guess it makes sense. Where do we do the was pressed here? So we're gonna shift our letters if it's down or up, but how about also left or right? And then enter. What does enter do? Right here. Well. Okay, so anytime we press enter, it's kind of going through a flow state of if we're on the first initial, we're going to switch to the second initial and switch to the third. So I think I'm going to take out right here. And if I take out right, then you can't accidentally press right to try to shift the letter and accidentally submit the letter. So just enter will submit the letter. And then I kind of want, I want it to be easy to use. So like down or right should advance the letter, right? So like, we can say down or right. Is that right? Because if down or right, we're going to add a 1 to the index. And if the index is 27, it gets back to 1. That's if it's at Z. If it goes to the next one after Z, it's actually going to go back to A. So we can copy that same line for this. And then we need or love dot keyboard. I'm working on my touch typing too, which is proving to be a little difficult. Left. It's difficult because I can do the letters pretty good. It's just that when I'm trying to do a tilde on a keyboard that doesn't have a tilde, or doing, you know, curly braces, or all those weird programmer buttons that you don't normally, you know, that stray far from home row, those are tougher to get. But or love dot keyboard dot was pressed right, no, left, would cycle us up back through, yeah, take away from our letter index to go up. So now we get a high score. Right should no longer submit. Well, we're not doing that quite right. What happened? Huh. That was weird. It wasn't showing up. But huh. My right key isn't working. Was pressed. Love.keyboard.was pressed. I don't know why that's not working. Love.keyboard was up. Oh, we gotta do it here too, because that was just on the second input choice. Okay, so we gotta do or love love dot keyboard dot was pressed. Down is left, and then up is no. down is right, because we want to advance it. And then if up is pressed, what did I just do? What did I just do there? Oh, control is different on my Mac laptop than on this keyboard. Okay. Uh-huh. 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 Touch typing will be the death of me. Let's wait till I get good, though. Okay. We can also rename our TMUX session here. Okay. So now I'm hoping, nope. Then on 126. I forgot the OR. Okay, we got a high score, so we should be able to input initials. And right is working, left is working, down is working, and up is working, and enter to select. So it is working now. That makes more sense. People should be able to figure that out, that the arrow keys are working. So CIA has #1 spot. So we'll need to add. Enter does a new game, which resets all the variables, all the everything. So we'll have to do that, but I want to show you guys a couple other things that I've been working on. Let's just take a look at our git diff here outside of NeoVim. We've got all we really did is change that text and a little bit of functionality for our high score submission, which is nice. And then we took our serialize out of our play state and put it into our dependencies, which makes a lot more sense. So we're going to add everything to the staging area with a commit message saying we just added arrow key selection for high score, which is good enough for me, and we're going to get push that. Voila. Now I kind of want to see if you guys are into Git or trying to get into Git and you can't see, or you're trying to do what I do and get A to commit and add the stuff to the staging area, it won't work because I set up an alias here so that my get A is actually get add everything and commit with a message. So all I have to do is say get add and then say this. And what it does is it takes those 4 modified files, anything that might be new in the directory, add it to the staging area to be tracked, and then commit with a message. So it adds the commit message to my commit, which is like this. Added arrow key to the selection for high score. So here's the cool thing I want to show you guys. So other than working on Joust still since I've been gone, I've also been working on my GitHub. So I'm no longer Jakobins at GitHub. I've got Finding Focus on GitHub now. So all my repos and everything is now under Finding Focus instead of Jakobins. I got my logo and everything. And I've made this README for my page, which is cool. So you could see my streak down here from all my programming commits, which is looking awesome. And I started adding these readmes. So what this is you can go to my Joust repo on github.com/findingfocus/Joust. And it gives you a little readme here that gives you installation instructions. So if you guys want to play the game on your own machine, you just follow these links, you know. Actually, this is wrong. This README should have, this has the right link, but it says the wrong thing, so I gotta go fix that. I'll fix that right now, and then I'll add player 2 controls too, I think. So, but you can now I've got the instructions on how to play, so now anyone can go find and play those things a bit easier. If we go back into NeoVim, go into the README and find our weather, we gotta change this to Joust. And we got to add, oh, we added player 2, so we're good. So we can just say fixed README. Git add, I'm just gonna say updated README. And git push. Cool. So now on here it should say the correct thing, which is Joust. So if you want to play it, you go here, you download the zip, you unzip it, you take that folder with the main.lua in it. This whole folder right here has a main.lua in it. You take this whole folder, you drag and drop it onto Love2D, which I don't have it, I just run it in the terminal. But you just need to drag that folder and then you can play it. So I've got instructions on how to play the games there. And then I want to show you guys my new website I just built. So in October, I took the CS50 programming course from Harvard, and I was able to program this website with that knowledge. I ended up getting that certificate of certification, what do you call it? Certificate of completion for the course. So now I have a programming website that I programmed myself in HTML and CSS and a little bit of JavaScript that shows little stuff like this, like, hey, if you want to play Joust, go here to Joust. If you want to play TAC, go here to TAC. And I just realized something, that if I committed with the wrong level on our wave instantiation, which I did, people will boot up into that that test screen, or that high score state screen. So we don't want to do that. We want to say boot into wave 1, so that if someone goes right now and downloads it, they don't boot into that high score loop. So my findingfocus.dev now is the home to all my programming projects, and it's got similar stuff with the Git repo instructions and everything like that. I even figured out a way to put my my weather game onto my website, which is really cool. So that's working on my website, and it's actually working on mobile as well. So if you go to findingfocus.dev on your mobile, you should be able to play this game on your phone. I mean, not really a game, it's just like a little demo of my game jam submission. So it's just cool that it's like I can add some interactivity onto my website. And then I've got a little app here that I use for work sometimes, where I can calculate the file size, the actual bit rate of some video, which helps me in exporting videos at appropriate sizes and whatnot. And then I've got some examples of some of my programming, like the music you're listening to right now. It's right here. So if you want to see that on Sonic Pi, it's right there. And then, last but not least, got all my streams. It'll load. I got my playlist here. So I'm going to be shifting over to that other computer to hopefully have that performance boost, and then better camera, and then and in the meantime, I'm going to be programming again, streaming again, rather. and we're about to finish Joust. We're literally so close. Let's take a look at what we've got left on Joust, which isn't much. So we've got our notes here. Here's all our notes that we have done. Now, a lot of these are kind of like wish list stuff, but not necessary really. Like the big ones are, I gotta add a couple sounds, right? So when we spawn, add that sound, add a collision sound, egg collection sound, death sound. That's all the big ones. Then there's some 2-player stuff, like if player 1 loses all their lives and they're playing in a 2-player game, I think it'll still show game over. So we gotta do that. We gotta, if it's 2-player mode, only game over if both players are dead. And then restart the game, and then restart the game if they're at the high score, and restart the game if it's a game over. We can kind of decide how to do that. The game over might just have to be for 3 seconds, and then it goes high score state, then enter restarts it. So that's about it though, because there's just like little stuff, like little optimizations that aren't really necessary. But yeah, we're making a lot of good progress. And we're almost done. We're about to move on. So I'm going to actually add 2 that we've got to do. And appropriate high scores for wave achievements, kind of. That's just what I'll call it, so that it's not just like the old 250 score gets you on the leaderboard type of deal. So I'll do one more commit. That's messy. I did so many commits, but anyways, there we go. So again, I want to thank ViperJ1 for encouraging me to post, because I know it's been too long, and I have been meaning to get back to it, and I am getting back to it. I've just been making excuses about trying to get the new computer set up and all of that. But here we go. There's an update. I'm still alive. I'm still working on it, and I'm about to start the new game, which is going to be fun. So in maybe a week or 2, I'll be starting the new game, and I'm going to be doing that from scratch, a lot like this one, even though I missed the past couple months. But I'm going to get into a groove, and I'm going to start from scratch, and I'm going to try to only develop it on stream, so that everything I do is visible in case y'all are curious how to do it, how to get started. Because I'm not, I'm just a hobbyist who wants to do this, and I've been teaching myself. I'm not a pro. I don't know what is really going on, but hopefully what I do can help inspire someone or help show someone that they can do it too, because all it takes is just trying and a lot of learning. So yeah, I hope to see, if this inspires anybody, I hope to see your games one day too. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next streams.